Gundam.tk presents Gage-ing Builder, Age-2 Normal. Hey, what's up again everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs from GundamReviews.net, and today I'm taking a look not at a model, but an actual Gundam toy. It's the Gage-ing Builder, Age-2 Normal, which is part of the Gage-ing Builder series, and even though it is set apart from the model line, well, it seems to have some similarities, so I thought I'd give one of these a try. The most appealing factor, of course, being that this is in 1/100th scale. 2,800 yen here for the MSRP. I've held off getting into the Gage-ing Builder series or even giving it a shot up till now just because there are so many models already available. We've got the Age-2 available in AG, HG, 148, SD on the way, and of course probably 6 months after its debut in the anime. We could be getting a Master Grade, but after building the Master Grade Age-1 Normal and having a 1/100th on my shelf, I just decided, well, it's time to take the plunge and see just how these toys stack up to the models, because with no 1/100th non-grades, the GB line is really supposed to be in lieu of the 1/100th non-grades, with all the supermarket functionality built into it. But anyway, how does it look when it's going to be standing beside it? That's what I'm curious to find out. This is a new kind of box tour for me, with the 1/100th scale being prominently mentioned there. You can see the gauging link, so take it to a supermarket, and if you're familiar with the advanced grades, this one is going to have 4 parts for all the various limbs, as it's pointing out there. You're also going to be getting a tri-age card if you didn't get that from the advanced grade already. And on the top you can see the grade there, if you want to call it that, Gage-ing Builder, some pretty cool looking cover art, and yes, it's going to move all over its body in 20 different places. With the GB series, you can buy different limbs and cores, or as they call the chest section, along with the head. So you can see here that the arms are going to separate, with the G-Wear arms, the G-Wear core being the head and chest, and you can have the SP attack, I suppose, with its Dod's burst. And as you go on here, the Age-2 Normal, you can see some some in-game stats there, which are not so important. But as we move down, you can see that the whole idea being is that if you bought the set, you can swap the limbs on and off. So you can have an old school weapon there to go along with the Adele limbs and the Adele arms. And you can also have the Adele core using the Age-2 parts, which looks a little bit silly considering that the Adele is supposed to be hooked up with the Age-1 wares. But anyway, you can still see the idea being that you gotta collect them all. The other side is going to talk about progress or evolution, and there you have the 4 chips built into the waist, the chest, and the 2 arms, and how you can play the game yourself or keep track of your records anyway with the Gage-ing Haro. Onto the back, there's a few cool looking poses there. You can see the actual contents all listed out there. You're basically just going to have the shield, the Dods there, along with the actual body, plus the actual card. You can see him standing looking all right there. The shield is going to be up for a pose. Pretty dynamic looking pose, although I wonder if it's going to be master grade quality. It looks like the knee's not bent more than 90 degrees. Here they are talking about the different generations and the different wears, so you can have a Titus with a Dodds, Hyper Dodds there. I suppose that makes no sense. Adele there, we've already seen that can swap on and off, and you can either go play the tri-age game, or you can go see what it looks like when you take the plug it into the supermarket thing, and I suppose that you could switch the arms on and off, and that's going to be reflected with your character in the game. To see what's inside the box, you just have to cut the tape down here, and when you slide this out, you're just going to be getting clear clamshell, nothing there on the back, pretty much just the body and wing binders. When you pop up this top clear part, you can just pull out the body. You're going to have the shoulders here built in, and over here you're going to have 1 arm with 1 binder. The Hyper Dods, you're going to have a bag down below, it looks like, with a few more. There is a set of manuals tucked away inside, and you can see all the contents there with the limbs and the binders, shield and Dod's rifle. They're going to show you how to put everything together, although it doesn't seem that complicated. Some completed line art, and I guess that's the only poses, since those seem to be the only ones they want to show off. How to plug in the rifle, the shield into the back of the arm, and then they're going to talk about the game at length and how you can swap all of these different things, including the Age-2 core to go along with those Titus shoulders. The other side is going to focus on gauging as well, with the Haro and all the record keeping and how you can go do this, how it will sense all 4 parts, and there it is for the stats that are used and its different attacks, I suppose, in the game. It takes but a moment to put him together, and if you can get past the fact that he's got screws all over the place that are very, very visible, he actually doesn't look all that bad, and I'd say he's a little bit oversized perhaps for a 1/100th thing. And overall, just a few things, they look very blocky as opposed to angular, as you sort of are probably used to with Master Grade. Doesn't feel like anything's going to fall off though, unlike a model once in a while, where you have the front skirts, they're going to move up. You can have the legs, those can rotate around. You're going to get a click, click, click down below for the leg as you get a 90. and bring it back for almost a 180, and the side skirts are going to move up and out of the way this much. The white part doesn't move at all, and it just sort of feels like soft plastic. The upper body is going to rotate around at the waist, and then nothing else is going to move in the chest. The head is going to go up and down and off to the side just on a single pivot point. The arms can go around, but if you notice, everything is sort of locked into 90 degrees. So I went to move these parts and put them at an interesting angle, and you can't. Really, it's just going to go at the angles that they want them to be set at. These blue parts here on the side don't move. The shoulders are going to rotate around if you can get past everything. You can see that things are going to flop in and out of place. This is going to bend up, but you're not going to get anything more than a 90, it looks like there. And the shield is only going to be locked into the back. The manipulators are going to move slightly forward and back and rotate around. In terms of looks, going back to the Zeta and the RX-78-2, the Age-2 should be bigger and certainly more filled out with all those things hanging off the shoulders. But overall, when I look at these two, I just see a lot more details and a lot better angles, whereas over here you can see a lot of seam lines visible in the front. There are lining opportunities, believe it or not, so if you wanted to take your black or gray Gundam marker to that, I'm sure you could work that out. I don't know how well it'll erase as well, or if it's as well as this regular Gunpla plastic, but overall it does look a little bit blocky, a little bit cheap, and a little bit toyish with some details missing clearly, especially in terms of paint apps around the chest area and head. And here he is next to the high grade, which just certainly has a more angular appearance to it all around, whereas this one looks more powerful. But over here you can just see that the little details, like the fact that you can move those binders in more ways, even in ways if you want to break them and move them in ways that they weren't intended to, you're just going to have a lot more posing options than this one where you seem to be locked into 4 cardinal points all the time. So if you can make this out, this is where you can put the lining in. You can do that all over the place, and you can see that the back of the arms, they're actually separating in both places. You can see the seam marks, they're pretty evident, especially there on the front and the back, which is a little bit unfortunate. For a close-up of the chest and head, you can see that there's some gray parts there that just if you put the head up, they don't look very good. But otherwise, there are some good details there with the black under the green, and it does have that trademark Age gray stripes down there. But overall it just looks very, very painted as opposed to the plastic look that we're used to with layer on top of layer. The ankles aren't particularly good for articulation either. You can move them off to the side because they're just on a double ball joint there, or just on a single ball joint with a peg there. But overall it's going to move forward and back and side to side, but it's not going to work in most poses. Certainly nothing dynamic, it seems. For posing, I don't know how long he's going to stand up because those ankles are pretty flimsy. You can see that they're just going to be standing on edge most of the time. And you are going to be really limited with just quite a few things. Like I mentioned, the binders sticking out at cardinal directions. These ones are going to go off pretty well. And you can have them look down the barrel of the Hyper Dodds, no problem whatsoever. It's just the fact that you're going to have those shoulders stuck at 90-degree angles means you're not going to have too many options outside of this one. In general, you can cheat with some of these 90-degree bends and you can get them at about a halfway point, but to get them really to lock into place properly, you can see that they should be lined up. And with the elbows where you had a pretty good degree of mobility, it's just funny with the shoulders, as you can see that he's already going to go toppling. Because what can you do? Well, you can do this one, or you could do this one, or you could do this one, or you can do this one. So you really do feel limited, I think. And some of these poses don't look bad, it's just the problem that you can't actually have him stand on the ground, nor do you have action-based compatibility, or it's not advertised anyway, and it doesn't seem like it's going to work. So if you want to have him look dynamic, you may have to do the old school whooshing effect. But I do have to admit that that guy is pretty filled out and substantial, and it's probably only going to get better once we get the master grade, once it's just got that extra element of sleekness to the design. So overall, I have to give this a verdict of, well, just pretty much not bad. It's certainly a good substitution, I suppose, for a non-grade, although I would much rather be putting a model together, even if it doesn't have all the details that we've come to expect from a master grade. 1/100th Exio was a lot of fun, as was the 00, and so we didn't get a Quanta, but it would have been nice to get that for this line. However, since that doesn't exist, I suppose this is the next best thing, because you are getting the size. It does advertise that it's 1/100th, and with master grades coming out in short order instead of us waiting years or two, kind of thing as we saw with Seed and Seed Destiny, certainly it's a good stopgap in the meantime, and hopefully come around October or so, we'll be getting a master grade of the Age-2. In the meantime, I don't think I'm going to be needing to buy any more. The Age-3, perhaps I'll have the same desire to have it on display. As soon as it starts to hit the air, to have all three of them beside each other, father, son, and grandson, could be a pretty cool combo. But overall, there's just not enough quality. In terms of toys, I suppose it's a pretty good one. But there are a few problems, as you saw. But overall, of course, for me, you can probably not be surprised at all. Models are the way to go, and I can't wait for this to get a proper model in this size. And then this guy sadly may just start to collect dust. But that's still 6 months away, so in the meantime, he'll be a good combo beside his dad on the shelf. Anyway, everybody, why don't you let me know what you think of this guy with a comment down below and the video itself. And the Gage-ing builders, are there people out there who have bought a lot more? Is this a better one or worse one? How does it stack up compared to some of the other things like Robot Damashi? Certainly it's got the size and that price point is a lot higher. But anyway, how do the details stack up? I'd love to hear from people with more experience with a comment down below. Anyway, everybody, stay tuned for lots more toy reviews once in a while. But the bread and butter has to be models, so stay tuned for lots more of those reviews. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. You know, this guy is too small for a high-grade 1/144th, and he's still almost not that far off from the Age-2 in oversized 1/100th.